Hey everyone, so glad you are joining us on this personal branding call. My name is Lydia Epic and I'm super geeked to be here with some incredible ladies who have such great information to share. So our main speaker for today is going to be Lydia Onyuka Riley, and she brings a wealth of information when it comes to better understanding how to maximize your personal brand. She is an influencer on Instagram. She also has a growing YouTube channel, as well as just utilizing different ways, especially with just creating your own website and doing different things with connecting with your audience. So without further ado, very excited to have Lydia Riley here as she shares with us some additional tips on personal branding.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lydia. That's so nice of you to introduce me. You guys, I really am so excited to have this conversation just because I think this is when you really, this is where the magic happens with this type of business. And I had never really seen, so with my Young Living experience, I had a behind the scenes kind of experience. My husband worked for corporate. I had an opportunity to meet so many different people, leaders who were doing this in a lot of different ways. And I come from a marketing background. Like I studied advertising in college with a marketing emphasis. I went into internet marketing right after. I worked for a decade doing search engine optimization, blog optimization, which is basically getting people's content to show up in the search results. So my thinking about marketing has always, I have some education around it, but I'm going to tell you that the intersection between doing a network marketing business and branding it, the networking part of doing a network marketing business, I'm telling you right now, we are living in the kind of magic lightning in a bottle kind of moment from when you can take your social media specifically. So, you're not, I do have a blog. Lots of people still have a blog. Blogs are still freaking amazing. So relevant. But the transition has really shifted where most of us spend so much more of our time on a social media platform. Is that right for everybody? Or am I, is that correct? Where you're spending most of your time that's online, you're spending it in social media on a platform of some sort, right? Okay. Yeah. So it becomes really important to know how to market there. Right? It's how to put the marketing in network marketing, but doing it on social media. And that becomes such an issue of branding. It is not even funny. And so what I kind of want to get into is the difference between Young Living's brand and your own personal brand. And the very first thing we need to cover, and it'll just be brief here, is that you are not like your product. Your product's not your brand. And you see a lot of people kind of, okay, I purchased an essential oil kit. So now like I am an essential oil person and Young Living is my whole entire world and my whole entire brand. And you can do that. But the problem is that if you think about the people who are going to be drawn and attracted to you, if your brand is Young Living Essential Oils, who are they? Go ahead and just shout it out, or you could chat it in. They're people who
Other oilers.
They already got oils.
Yep.
They already got oils. What kind of a target market is it to have, a bunch of people who already got oils, right? So that is why, especially when you are beginning, there is a time and a place to shift, and there is a time and a place to shift and start talking to oilers. And that's when you've already reached a huge amount of success. And at that point, you're just mainly nurturing your downline of oilers, right? That's when you can really shift and identify that your personal brand is basically associated with Young Living oilers and trying to help them accomplish the dream. But when you're first getting started, we need to attract an audience, and attracting an audience, guys, is a lot more fun than stalking an audience. Right? It's a lot more fun than bothering an audience. It's a lot more fun than harassing an audience. You really want to attraction market, and attraction marketing happens when you know that there's a difference between your personal brand and the brand of the product that you offer. So when we're talking about your personal brand, we want to first and foremost know and answer this one question that will really, really shape things for you, which is who are you talking to? Who is she? And if you go to like a marketing seminar or marketing, one of those kind of heavily education heavy places, they're going to call it an ideal customer avatar. That sounds a little too serious for me. So we just want to know, like, who's your boo? Who's your girl? Who's your ride or die? Who's that main, I'm going to say girl, I'm going to use woman, it can obviously be, any gender, but I'm going to just use that as an example because we want to know her really, really deeply. We want to know her so deeply that we understand the emotions she's going through. We want to understand the responses that she's having to the different things that are going on. We want to know how she's feeling about, let's say, if she's a mother, what kind of mom is she, right? Is she the kind of mom that's like, peace out, I'm out of here, kids. I can't wait to spend this weekend with my friends because you guys are driving me crazy? Or is she the kind of mom that would kind of take offense to that, right? There's different kind of moms. So we want to really, really understand who it is we're talking about, because we can only really serve her when we know who she is, okay? So that's the job. The job is to figure out who we're talking to, and then it's to figure out how do we be of service. How can we bring value to her life? Because you know what? People purchase from people that they know, they like, and they trust, right? That's a relationship. And so you can't have a relationship with someone if you don't know them very well. Are we on the same page? Okay, good. So with that said, we really, what I want to do is go through a series of questions, and I want you guys to write this down because this is your person. This is your girl. This is your boo. You really want to know who she is. You want to understand her. You want to be able to serve her. So let's write this down and it's okay if you have to keep coming back to it, keep coming back to these questions, but I'm going to go through a series of questions and I'm going to turn on a little bit of, meditation-y thinking music. I like to actually get out of my brain a little bit when I'm going through these questions. And I like to start thinking kind of more on an emotional level about really, really knowing this person because I want to vibe with her. I want her to be like, I don't know how, but you always know what to say. I don't know how, but you made me laugh. You made me cry. You made me connect. I love it. I'm all about who you are. Because at that point, guys, it doesn't matter what you're selling. When they know you and they connect with you that deeply, you can recommend a hat, some lashes, a sweatshirt. You can recommend any number of home products. You can really, really monetize your personal brand in a variety of different ways. And of course, we want to make sure that we're throwing our Young Living products and opportunity and business in there as well. But when we know her super well, our job is to serve her. And sometimes that means this isn't Young Living related, but you really got to get this because it's going to change your life. And when you connect with her that hard, she's like, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. So this is next level, connecting with your lifer by understanding your lifer, your ideal customer, your boo, your girl, really, really understanding by going through some questions. So let's think about these questions. Okay. First things first. Who are they in terms of demographic? Do you know what maybe you have somebody with a specific name. Maybe, you know her age. What gender is she? Do you guys know where she resides? So is she living somewhere specific? Because you're going to speak differently. You're going to speak differently to different people. So is there somewhere that you're kind of thinking, you know, this person resides, or even a language that she speaks. So what's their home life like? Is she married? Is she single? Does she have kids? Does she have pets? Maybe she's divorced. You could see how you would speak differently to someone if they were divorced, right? Or if they were married or single, never married. And what's their work life like? Do they go to work full time? Do they work part time? Is she a contract worker? Is she already an influencer? Does she already do a lot of work on social media? What's her financial status? Does she have a ton of disposable income? Is she just making ends meet? Is she a homeowner? Does she rent? I really like on this one too, think like, what are the goals? Like, what does having financial freedom look like for her? Because it looks different to different people. So if you're going to show, you know, a Ferrari, and she's more of a retire in an off-grid cabin kind of girl, then that message changes a little bit. So do you know what her dreams, her goals, her everything that she wants, do you know what those look like for her? How does she spend her leisure time? Is she into sports? Maybe she's into sports just because her husband is. What does she like doing? She like crafting, drawing, sports. Is she physically active? Does she love yoga? Does she hike? What are her interests? Where does she go? Like where, like what stores, clubs, events, groups, both online and offline. And who does she hang out with, or like who does she follow? Do you know a few influencers that she follows, that she stalks, that she's obsessed with? Media, what channels does she watch? Personalities does she like? I don't mean to put any influence in here for anyone, but my girls that watch Bravo TV who are into Real Housewives, like I know those girls because that's me, you know? So this is kind of what we're getting at, is going, all right, what kind of vibe, you know, what are they looking for in their entertainment? Is it just silly? Is it aspirational? Is it funny? Some of the influencers they follow, that might be helpful. Sorry, go ahead. What was that? Oh, I thought somebody said something.
You're good.
Okay. So what are their most pressing challenges? What's causing an issue today and right now? You guys, this is so serious for me, this one right here, because, you know, before I had really ironed out my ideal customer avatar, I was already kind of promoting Young Living, but I was really, really kind of, for some reason, I think it's because I just know a lot of high ranking Young Living people. I follow a lot of diamonds. I know them personally. I really, really adore and like them. But I remember that that was actually hanging over my head in a negative way, because some of the things that were going on today were really more relevant to diverse Black and brown people. And the reality is that Young Living is primarily, primarily white. So their response to a lot of these issues were so drastically different than, what my girl would need. And figuring out that my girl was, a certain race. I'm really interested in talking to a more diverse population than that. And so being offensive or not, or this or that, stopped mattering, because it was about showing up for my girl. It's about showing up for her and connecting in that way. So what are their most pressing challenges? Can you think about how their responses to some of the social issues that are going on right now, or some of the political issues, or if they're not even in the United States, some of the global issues that are going on? Do you know what their thoughts and feelings are? What are their biggest frustrations? What are their biggest problems? Do you know who and what influences their decisions that they're making? Do you know what specific results or outcome that they would be looking for? What would good look like for them? Can you identify a few brands specifically that they're really into? That's kind of interesting, is to check out a brand and kind of check out the vibe of that brand. Like, what are the colors, the themes, the messaging? What's the voice of that brand? And what is it that about that brand that hits right on the nose for this ideal customer of yours? And just as a last one, what are their aspirations, their desires? What do they want in life? All right, let's get some thoughts. I want to know what your thoughts are during this exercise. Was it difficult? Do you have no idea? Were you able to kind of nail it down a little bit?
So I can at least speak for me. This is really helpful. This is really good, of just really pausing and thinking about, I definitely connected to when you said, this is your ride or die. I went, boom. Because this is someone that I don't want to just simply sell something to. This is someone I want to do life with. This is someone I want to be connected to and who wants to be connected to me. So I absolutely love that. So yeah, I was just running through the list, and so it's just flowing. So it was really good. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, kind of chime in too, because I just feel like, as well as even with the scenario where you talk about a Ferrari versus a cabin, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, when I think of who I am, there's so many, especially in the multi-level marketing realm, that were so unattractive to me. Like, it was just like,
Yes.
I was like I don't want to say anti MLM, but I'm just like, I don't like that feeling. It felt like that would not be how I would start with things. And so I never wanted to present myself in that way or that light. And so it's super important, I think, to hone in, well, what does that look like? And like you said, like, maybe for one person, financial freedom looks like this, whereas for another person it looks completely different, right? So
Mhm.
one person, they may love their career and what they're doing, and it's just a matter of balancing out, maybe getting out of debt or some other few little things, whereas another person is like, I can't stand my job and I need like to get away and be able to still,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, have success and take care of things financially. So I think that's super, super powerful when you really hone in on who is my person, like what would
Mhm.
they look at and what would they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that when you get really specific and when you have time, I, I think it's really, it might seem a little bit strange, but print off a little picture of somebody specific. Maybe you can't do just one person. You know, I have a cupboard and I've got 5 of my friends in there, right? And so they vary in sort of, they vary, but I do know that that's my tribe. They're the ones that I'm speaking to, and they're the ones that are, you know, another way to kind of look at this too, because emotion is really, really powerful and you want to use emotion to your benefit. What is the army, you know, that not imaginary, kind of imaginary army that you are leading the cause for? Okay. And I'll kind of define mine a little bit. This is my thing. This is the thing that I'm so freaking passionate about, that I could stand on a soapbox anytime, day or night, and I could do a little speech on this because I feel so passionate about it. I believe that self-care for moms, especially, will save, it can save your life. That mental health goes out the window if you cannot take care of yourself. And I know this because my personal experience, I've had 2 babies. One of them was 12 years ago, one of them was just barely, and or a couple years ago. And I know that the first time I did not take care of myself, and the expectations that I had of myself, of bouncing back, of having to, you know, all of the things that I hadn't yet figured out, you know, like that motherhood was not going to be the only place that I found joy. Okay. That at the end of the day, this mom needs her own world, my own world, in order to love these kids with everything I've got, right? I got to get away from them. I know that if I don't plan time to take care of myself, that it will go out the window, because when you're a mom, you're responsible for the caregiving. Okay. So that is the army. That is the thing that gets me so riled up. You know, I don't like seeing women mistreated. I don't, and most of the time they're mistreating, you know, not that they're mistreating themselves, but that they don't take care of themselves in the same way that they take care of everyone else. That makes me so, you know, I'm passionate about that. Now you could see how that's something that I can show my audience. I can serve them with different ways of being, you know, self-care, ways that I figured out for myself, ways that I carve out time for myself. And I can show a ton of ways to monetize, or show with a ton of ways to monetize, one of them being essential oils. So it never feels like they're following me and it's a never ending essential oil commercial. Instead, what it feels like is this mommy can really help me learn how to take care of myself. So I'm going to show up every day because she's got these different ideas. And then if I'm really, really smart about it, I'm plugging and putting the essential oil business in there every day, regularly. That's something I'm becoming associated with, but it's more like running alongside my personal brand and not taking over and dominating my personal brand. So, you know, your, what would we call that? Your protest sign, or your thing that you feel so passionate about. I mean, it could be black hair. There's a soapbox about black hair in there, right? There's a soapbox about meat and how it's so damaging to our bodies, and we need to eat more plant-based foods, and that you feel passionately about that. Why and how you came to that, sorry, is all of the other, you know, accessories behind it. That's what curates and crafts your personal message. But knowing who we're talking to and what's going to really resonate from them is just the I think it's the exciting part, because I think most of us don't want to sell something all the time. It feels kind of icky, doesn't it? To like always be promoting and selling. It feels like, I don't know, it just kind of feels icky. But I'm going to tell you that the thing that kind of resolves that is if you're serving and it's kind of a value exchange. At that point, you know, I've given, I'm given, now I can take. I've given, I can take. That's the relationship you want. Gary Vaynerchuk, he's the guy that curses all the time. Gary V. He's like a social media guy. I have a few of his books. One of them is called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it just basically talks about this, you know, we cannot be on social media. A right hook is a sales pitch, right? So if we're on social media, right hook, and then right hook, and then right hook again, and then right hook, and then right hook again, we're gonna get really tired. And I don't mean just like we're gonna get tired, we're gonna get tired. People are gonna get tired of seeing us. That tired, like always selling energy. But when we're throwing in kind of a jab, 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 right hook, jab, 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 right hook, it's a lot more strategic way to remain balanced. You can look at the jabs as serving, and then your right hook is selling. Serving, right hook is selling. I think that's everything that I've got today. Is there, let's do the Q&A and get some specifics, questions going.
Yeah, I would love to start that off. Okay, so I want actually both Lydias to chime in on this. So same question, both Lydias. But let's start Lydia Riley. So for you, I follow you, so I know kind of like the energy behind your page, your brand, and things like that. But for those who maybe this is their first time kind of communicating with you, when you would describe your brand, what does that look like, and what all does it encompass?
Okay, so my brand pillars are, and brand pillars, you want to kind of look at it like a stool, okay, like a 4 or 5-legged stool. You want some brand pillars in there that really, really identify who you are. Motherhood and family is one of my brand pillars. I am kind of like but you want to get really specific about that, right? Because if we're talking about what's on your profile, that like, hey, I'm a mom is the most uninteresting, unoriginal thing that I could possibly come up with. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in there that I'm probably like described as a hippie mountain mom, or a mom in the mountains. You know, I live here really close to mountains. I'm always hiking. I always show the scenery around me because I just really think that that's a unique and interesting thing about where I live. Okay. So motherhood, self-care is a really big part of that. Within self-care, I'm going to probably do movement, a little bit of nutrition. So I cook because I'm a mom, right? I'm the mom of the house, so I cook food. And I always try to share the stuff that's more on the healthy side. I blog a little bit about it. But movement, because it's interesting, because I'm an athlete, because I care about my physical body, because I believe that a lot of trauma resides in my body. So I always take people along on my hikes or my yoga or that kind of thing, right? Motherhood, self-care, style. Motherhood, self-care, style. So I did, and some of this is going to come in like, just like we have such a huge tool in Instagram specifically, but all of our social media where we can ask for feedback. And I remember during quarantine, I said something like, all right, well, since we're all in quarantine, let's, I did a poll or something like that. Do you guys want to see what we're eating? Something. And then I said like what I'm wearing. And I just did that randomly because I can be a little bit, it's just me. I like fashion. I like to add a look, right? And overwhelmingly, it was like 98% of the responses were the style piece. And so I went, oh my gosh, okay, these guys care what I'm wearing. And I'm like, that is so awesome because I could do that all day and night. I love clothes. I love looks. And so I just made it into a pillar, and it's a really big way that people find me and funnel into me, especially TikTok. I use TikTok to bring people to my Instagram. And anyway, so those are, I kind of throw self-care under the category of self-care are probably other bigger pillars, but I would just say like I'm motherhood and family self-care style. And I think that's really 5 pillars if I break self-care apart.
Cool.
That,
Awesome.
but here's a really important thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I want to say to you, Dana, Lydia, did you guys feel that about me? Can you go to my page and identify that? And if not, then that's okay. You tell, I want to listen to whether or not, if you're like, nah, I kind of thought this other thing was I thought you were more like this, then I want to listen to that, because if that's not intentional, if what my reputation isn't what I want my reputation is, then I'm not taking that personally. I actually love that feedback. So I want to ask you, is that kind of what my vibe is, or what you were picking up?
Yeah, so let's see. So I know when I look at, I'm actually going to hop over right now. So if I'm frozen, that would be why. So when I see your page, I see the style piece for sure. I also see a huge love of just showing. I know that your morning coffee is part of your ritual. I know that that's your jam. And I see that in your stories. And I also see the fact that, yeah, you just love to be present in nature. I see that you love your family, but they aren't the center of your universe, if that makes sense. So they're part of your journey, but you are still definitively you. So with that, that's part of what I see. Also, you're very, what's the word? You're very earthy in terms of, you see the love for nature, how you, not just simply with being outdoors, but how it is that, you have plants throughout the house. So there was a whole plants phase that was happening.
I was gonna say I forgot my plantiness, because I am very much
plants.
a plant lady, and that's a big part of my brand.
Yeah.
That's probably a brand pillar. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Plant Lady is so a brand pillar, especially now more than ever, where people are finding themselves, oh my goodness, I'm indoors and I need to have this way to just have, it's a form of self-care actually. And so, yeah, most definitely that's part of what I see.
Thank you. And
yeah.
Sorry, Dana, I don't know if you were going to respond too.
I mean, Lydia was way more eloquent than I was going to be. My answer was going to be yes. That is exactly how I feel when I look at your face.
Okay, great. You don't have to be long-winded about it like she was. I'm just kidding.
No, you're good. And I was going to say, actually, that's kind of the fun, funky thing about my brand that I'm still figuring out how to present, because it's part of my quirk, right? It's that I love to dig into the details. When someone asks a question, I'm going to answer it. And so I would definitely say, in terms of my own brand and the brand pillars that I'm wanting to express in my spaces, is just fueling your body in healthy ways. So healthy eating is so, so key. And it's not just simply, oh yeah, look, I had a green smoothie today, but it's realizing that whatever, the same way that you put, whoa. The same way that you would put healthy fuel into your body. Oh my gosh. The same way you put healthy fuel into your car is the same way that you would put healthy fuel into your body. You wouldn't put junk into your system and then somehow expect for you to be able to do amazing, phenomenal things. And so I'm very much about that, not just for myself, but especially for my kids. And so
would you say that that's your thing? That's like your thing that you could talk for hours about nutrition.
Oh yeah, so I could talk about the fact that, I could talk about being gluten-free, dairy-free. Personal development is really huge for me. Recognizing the importance of living more intuitively. So making it a point to listen to your body and what it needs, teaching your children how to listen to their bodies and what it needs, recognizing that, I mean, if I had a protest sign, it would be the fact that unless we as African Americans, and just even with various cultures in Africa who've adopted a lot of Western kind of ways of thinking and Western modalities, that unless we are willing to go back to really being in tune with ourselves, and that means that we have to keep the temple clean, you're going to see all of the different health issues that are popping up, many of which are caused by habit and many of which are caused by emotions. So let's be in a place to really clean that up and to do better, because expecting somebody else to do better for us is so not happening. That'd be my protest sign.
Standing ovation that. That's so perfect. What do you think is your, I mean, right now when you're saying that's kind of my struggle piece, like, what do you think that your page needs more of, or what is it that you're struggling with on your own?
Thanks so much. Yeah. I would say the struggle for me is that for my gal, she isn't typically on social media, meaning it's the space that, yes, she'll interact with, but it's not her jam. I mean, she's there all the time. She's the researcher. She's going to potentially be a balance between either YouTube or social media, or she's going to be the one who's the bookworm. And so it's looking for the different book reviews, is looking for the personal development things, is looking for the conferences. And so it's finding how to connect with her in a way that's meaningful and consistent, knowing that, I mean, disconnect to reconnect is a huge part of it for her, right? So figuring out how to bring that to her, realizing that she may be sporadic. And that's just because we vibe on that sense. It's just, I'd rather be hanging out with you at the park than to necessarily be watching your life on social media. So that's the part that feels a little kind of.
No, I love it. So I think that you're on the right track, whereas that long form, really detailed content is probably going to be your gold mine in terms of just like, giving. I would probably, do you have a lot of YouTube videos already?
Oh goodness, at this point I think I have about, I want to say 60, about 60 videos, but they're primarily things like doing interviews, cooking items, some, this is how we basically help when our kids are having a fever. This is what has worked for us. This is just our thing. So we do a lot of DIY type things, but yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have to look at your videos a little bit more, because I think that there's something there, and maybe you're just not like keyword optimizing your content, and not showing up for that girl who's your girl, who's like, I need a protocol for how to reduce my child's fever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, understood. That makes sense. And like I said, what I really loved about this was the fact that it helped me to reconnect to that protest sign, because that's super huge, because that then creates the platform to be able to have the conversations, to create the blogs, to create the videos, to create the content that then speaks to her, so that when she does show up into that space, she goes, oh, yes.
Yeah. And this is another just little thing here, because I know you've got your freebie up, and I love a freebie. I think that's a different conversation. We'll have to have a different time. But do you have follow-ups already written for the people who opt into that follow-up sequence?
I do.
How many?
Yeah. It is a series of 3 at this point. So it hits them up over the course of about 2 weeks. And if I'm not mistaken, in there, I've added just kind of a, hey, let me know what it is that you're interested in seeing in terms of content. So then that way it gives a little bit of a feedback. And just a heads up for folk who are going, what in the world are they talking about? So with regards to developing and growing your audience, it's important, yes, to have the numbers. The numbers look awesome when you're on Facebook or Instagram or on TikTok. However, if you're not in a space where you can talk directly with your girl or your guy or whoever it is, if you're not able to speak to them directly and to be consistently in front of them, then you're missing a really big opportunity. So what we're talking about is an email list that's connected to a freebie You can call it a freebie, a freemium. It's just a simple item that is part of what you want to present to your ideal person that then helps them to say, yes, tell me more about how I can connect with you.
Yeah. And I think we should probably, when we get past, just the basics of branding and get more, and then, content creation, then we can talk about, and we should do a workshop on that, because every single person should absolutely have that already.
Yeah, most definitely. But I was going to say, did Dana share the brand pillars for her space? I'm not sure.
No, let's talk about it, Dana. Let's do it.
Boom.
Yes, let's go. So for me, and it's so funny because the things that very similar, like to what Lydia Riley was saying, where she asked her audience, like put a poll out there. It's interesting because the things that like I thought were going to be more my thing is not actually what my audience really want to see, which is funny. Like, and especially like, so both the Lydias on here have babies too, like cute little, younger kids. Like, so there gets a period like around, I want to say maybe 7 to 10, where like your kids are not that cute anymore. So it's so serious. Like, it's so funny because it used to be like, oh, I could put my kids on there and then like I get all the likes and all the comments and it's great or whatever. Now, like I put my kids on there and I just need to have a really like caption that like gets them in there. Otherwise they don't really care. Like they're like, they're just in another post. Great. So it's funny because originally one of my baselines really was me being a homeschool Black mom, right? Like in the city, which I think is super different because like I have to travel so far just to connect with other homeschool families because before COVID, like in my area, I didn't know any homeschool families, right? So like I had to be very intentional about putting that out there and finding and connecting with people. So while that is a large portion and piece of my brand and who I am, I found that that's actually not drawing in the audience that I actually want or am looking for. So what really has been more my jam is natural hair, giving tips and tangible things that people can use, educating them on why it makes a difference. Because even when it comes to whether I'm here or international, people are having the same issues when it comes to natural hair. And it's not just from the standpoint of what do I do with my hair, but it also comes from like a self-confidence. Like, who am I? How is my identity connected to how I show up with my hair? Or how has this affected my self-esteem when it comes to my hair? So under that pillar, I found that I really need to also talk about and vocalize that struggle, like the mental struggle, the spiritual struggle, the physical struggle, the like social struggle, like, you know what I mean? So all of that kind of falls under that pillar. As well as like a huge portion of my thing is I'm very, I don't even know what the right term for it is, but I love like poetry and quotes. So I like, a lot of times I have to cut down on my IG, my talking, because I'm like, I really, really want to like factually go in and I want it to have a rhythm.
Wait,
so,
what do you mean poetry and quotes? I need you to get more specific about it.
Yes. So I like if you go like a few years back into my IG, all you will see is quotes. You won't even see my face. All you will see is quotes, 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 because I just love like a powerful quote. Like I love starting my day with like something that's just going to mentally get me going that I can like baseline my day upon. And it really, really starts with quotes, but I like, and the reason I say poetry is because I like a rhythm to it. Like I like that it has a flow and makes me feel something when I'm reading it. And so a lot of times in even my captions now, there will be quotes. And then I will start talking about other things, or I will hone in and kind of draw all of that together. But because like quotes and poetry are such a large portion of who I am, it's a very strong pillar for me.
I love that. I love
Most
that.
definitely.
I love that, but I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback because okay, so visually, graphically, you've got a really nicely coordinated feed and everything like that. Everything looks, obviously you've done a lot of work, but I would not be able to tell at the glance that you love poetry. And I think that's a really cool, interesting, it's a way for me to be like, okay, Dana, I know we've taught classes for all of these weeks. I know we've got those things in common, but like it softens you. It makes you more approachable. It makes you a lot more, it just makes you someone that I'm like, cool. It puts, a relationship, a friendship into color. So those details about you, and I think, I am equally as surprised about the things that people love about me that that I didn't really know. But it's important, I think, it's important because if that's a big part of who you are and you really love that, I want to come to your page for that. Like that might be one of the things and the reasons why I come in and check up on you. And so captions, I don't even know. People aren't reading captions as much as they used to. I know I'm certainly not. Like I scan, it's a very much a graphic thing, but I would love to see so much more of that. I would love to see that. And I actually think that some of your squares, you've got a couple in here already, that are like words, you know what I mean? Those like word ones.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're a wordsmith and you love words, then let's get those in like every 3 or 4, posts. And especially it's the white space that it would create on your thing too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it's just kind of like, I don't know if, it is the white space. It will just open up and graphically allow each picture to kind of speak a little bit more independently instead of putting them all together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I was also going to say that I think the homeschool for Black moms thing when your handle is oily hair boss, I feel like that speaks mostly to like hair, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I would think the homeschool thing would very much take a backseat to hair tips, hair reposts, hair everything, all the hair things, hair nutrition, hair nutraceuticals, hair thing. You're the star. Who cares about the kids? I'm just kidding. Right. But I was also going to say too that my baby, I love my friends because they are so blunt like I am. And I had a girlfriend that's like, I mean, I love your kid and stuff, but no, like we get enough of him. And so I loved feeling a relief, like I released that. Mm-hmm. Like I released the obligation of always having to have my kid, my husband, my family showing up in my posts. They don't care. And that makes a lot of sense to me because I'm the kind of girlfriend that I want to hang out with my girlfriends when the kids are not there. Because when the kids are there, they take over. You're always distracted. You're always da-da-da. And I love my friends' kids, but I don't want to hang out with them. Meaning also on their social media, I don't want to hang out with them. I just don't. And so I know it's a little bit rude. I think it's fine. I think it's great that your kids have aged out of having to share them all the time. They're background now. You're the center. You're the star. And so I release that with you. And someone else can have these are just opinionated things. But I was gonna say though, on your whole profile, I don't see your name.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's not
you
there.
Need your name on there. I need to know your name first and foremost.
So I purposefully did not put my name on there because I wanted, in order for you to get to know me, you have to first reach out to me and say, who are you, right? So when you come to my page, you get a surface of who Dana is. But if you want to actually intimately know me, then we need to have more of a conversation and start with hello. So I personally, if someone follows me, I will immediately get in their DMs and I'll be like, hi, how are you? Right? And sometimes people respond. A lot of times people don't respond. And it helps me to sift through the people I don't want following me or I don't want in my energy. And if we continue a conversation, I will then say, by the way, my name is Dana. It's nice to meet you. And then from there, develop a relationship.
Okay. Okay. I mean, you
Nice.
sound determined about it. So I'm not here to push back against what your strategic, decision is.
Mhm.
I think your name though is very, very important. There's some people, so some of the marketing trainings that I have done that would say that that is more important than your handle, that your handle should be your name. But if your handle's not your name, it needs to be the first thing.
Mhm.
I'm not the boss of you. So clearly, and you have your reasons. So that's just one thing that I wrote down, your name, and then school hair quote of the day.
So
I
also,
just think that's the one thing I'm going to say, the poetry, that's my biggest thing for you. Is that should be a pillar. I love that so
Yeah.
much. And I want to see it. Like I want that to be, I could think of you like imagine you doing this, just like me. I'm a creative. I like start to think of ideas, but I also look at your page and I think you could do more videos. Videos keep people on the platform longer. So you get a real boost in the algorithm for doing video. And I really think something like with a voiceover, pretty video, voiceover, you reading poetry, you saying some kind of quote would really, really be a really awesome way to bring that into more life. I want to
yeah,
breathe that into more life on your page. If you're really into poetry, like you are.
yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. I was gonna add too, if you've ever noticed in my book doesn't have my name on it either.
Why?
My name until you get later into the book and it's about the author, that's the first time in the entire book you see my name.
Yep. It's true. We're very
Okay.
simpatico. I
Okay.
understand.
Okay. I just gotta not be, I just gotta,
Oh.
okay.
It's how we
Um,
greens roll. It's a green thing.
okay. Okay.
But
Anyway,
okay.
I'm all done. You, Lydia Epic, why don't you give her did you give her reflections or what your vibe
Yeah,
or,
so I will give some quick reflections, and then if we're good, we'll wrap it up because I know we want to be very conscientious of people's time for sure.
oh, that's right. That's right.
So yeah. So when I was looking at your page and your feed, I definitely had this sense of you speak to the business mom, meaning that when you're presenting, when you're giving, when you're talking about a particular topic, it's always with her in mind. So it's, yes, she has family, yes, she has different goals and aspirations, but for her, it's about how do I maximize my business? How do I show up in that way where I get to take what it is that I'm doing to the next level? So with regards to who it is that you're attracting, it is attracting that person who is very much you're going to probably have more people in your audience that are storefronts than actual people, meaning the people who are running that business would connect to you, and then from there you're connecting business to business. So it's more of a B2B that you're doing in terms of business to business versus necessarily B2C, meaning business to consumer. And so, yeah, so then that I can definitely get the sense that if I was to be so bold that you're in this place where you're going, for my Young Living business, want to build builders. I want to bring in people who are wanting to grow this. Yes, if you want to use product, awesome, cool, and fine. But if you're in a place where you're going, I want to take this to the next level because I have that full audience that's waiting and ready to hear what it is that you have to share, then there's that place of creating exchange. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Awesome. There you go. Sweet.
Good. That's an intentional, that's really, really good that's intentional, because it would be, again, a mistake to go, oh, I didn't mean to be attracting her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I get that. And again, like you said, it's when I'm thinking about some of the different Instagram accounts that I'm starting to connect with where I don't know who they are because it's a storefront, yet as we're having conversation, then that starts to build. So
Okay,
I get
right.
yeah. So I get where you're going with that on that front for sure. So, oh my goodness, guys, this was phenomenal. I have a whole page of notes and some really great places to start to really dig in and review. So one, if you're watching this on YouTube, I would highly recommend that you take out the time to watch this again in terms of going back over the information and really letting it sink in. There are places where you're going to find that when it comes to who it is that you're speaking to as your ideal customer, ways for you to take your Instagram or your Facebook or whatever your social media platform is, where you can take that to the next level, as well as the importance of just being present. And I know we'll talk more about some of the different ways that you can present content and those kinds of things, but know that knowing who you're talking to first and being authentic and true to that person is what makes a world of difference. So with that, so glad that you're able to check this out, and I look forward to us doing another one super soon. And unless there's anything else, ladies, we'll just sign off.
Thank you guys.